What's up, guys? This is Damien again, aka the Wolff, here today to tell you the importance of TEDx talks. And yesterday, I actually took my girlfriend to me and her first TEDx event, and it was the most inspirational, most powerful event that I've been to so far. And I always watch TEDx events. I've always watched inspirational talks where they talk about big ideas, new ideas, and ideas that are so out there that we've never heard of it before. And yesterday I found this power from these speakers, and I just want to talk about it. So this is my review of the TEDx Mile High 2017. So I want to start out about a question that actually the curator and founder of TEDx Mile High, his name is Jeremy Duhon, Duhon, Jeremy, and he asked us this question: is that what's an idea or passion you haven't took action on, and what was it that you held you back from that? And I really pondered this, and I'm actually going to answer this at the end of this video. So I just want to talk about my initial thoughts. Going inside the convention center, downtown Denver, Colorado. I've been there numerous times for boat shows, gun shows, stuff like that, and I've never been into the Belco Theater where was sold out and there was so much people. And I bought my tickets a while ago before they really pushed their marketing, and they got it to get sold out. And my initial reaction, my initial thoughts going in, sitting down, and because me and my girlfriend had VIP, we sat about 10 to 12 rows from the stage, and that was very impactful because I could see the speaker, I could feel his passion, and just see his or she passion, and that resided with me because I know that I'm a speaker, and that's one of my goals, is to be that person on stage on a TEDx event that tells my ideas, that tells my story. And they were telling their stories, and it was so impactful. And that's kind of my initial thought in jumping into that TEDx event, and it was so huge. So I want to go into the different sessions and the breaks that we had. So it's an 8-hour event, and we had 3 sessions. They're about hour and a half to 2 hours long each session, where they had 4 to 5 speakers that spoke at that time. So what I'm going to do is go down the line of the speakers from each session, and just tell you a name and a little bit about them. And at the end of this video, I want to tell you the takeaways, the big takeaways that I got from it, and that will be very impactful in your guys' life, because he was very impactful in mine. So I want to start off with the very first speaker. She's an architect. She lives here in Denver, and her name is Beth Mosenthal. Her last name is Mosenthal. And she is a urban futurist. She is a architect for the future. She is trying to revolutionize cities like Denver and make it more urbanized. And what she means by that is she had presentation, and she had slides and stuff, and she wants to have like sky bridges, and I guess overseas they have these, and for bikes and stuff, and she also wants a speed transportation where there's a speed train like in Japan or wherever that is that it'll take us minutes to get to Colorado Springs, minutes to get to anywhere around the state, and even out of the state. And I thought that was huge. Today we're not thinking about the future of our city. We're just being so packed full of so much people coming in, and we're not thinking of the overcrowdedness and thinking about the future. And she really talked about that, and it was very cool. It was very inspiring that there's someone out here that's trying to do that, and it's so cool. So I want to go into the next guy, and this dude is a space entrepreneur. He is brilliant. He's part of a team that's it's trying to revolutionize the way we are with our resources on Earth. And his name is James Orsulak. Orsulak, Orsulak. And this guy is brilliant. So what he is, he's a space entrepreneur. He's trying to he's part of a team, and I think he's the leader of this team of planetary resources. And that sounds so interesting. And when he was talking about just doing something huge in space and taking the resources in space and bringing them down to Earth, I'll talk a little more about that later, about my initial reaction, and I thought that was brilliant. And I just want to go into the next speaker. That was the second speaker we had. So I want to go into Danielle Schutz. She was like on fire. She had this inspiration, this passion, and she's a millennial, and she was talking about millennials. She's talking about that stigma on millennials. I know that people that are, I'm a millennial myself, and I really resonated with what she was saying. And what she was saying, first of all, is that our generation of millennials are the ones that work together. They're the ones that are like to collaborate. And that's a lot of people above us, the generation above us, generations are wanting to have. She's talking about millennials in general, and there's a stigma around it. And I'm actually going to talk about the takeaway I got from her that was very impactful. What happened was that she's an expert leadership. She's an expert in leadership, and she was so impactful. And I really, really want to tell you why, and I'm actually going to tell you at the end of this video, so you got to watch to see what happens and what I say about that. So the next guy, he's a veteran. He was back in the Vietnam War, and especially on Veterans Day, he gave me even more gratitude to our military. And I've always been very humble and very generous to the community around military downtown, because I work downtown, and I try to help as much as I could. And he was the storyteller. He was that one that depicts that image in your head, because he had these vivid stories. But he was in the Marines or something like that, and he was actually a photographer, and he was actually drafted back in the day when we had the drafts, and he first had his first shot on a very big photo place, and he got drafted, and he thought that he couldn't be a photographer anymore. And he pushed it. He took his camera on board, and he was taking pictures of his whole journey. And he was showing these pictures, and you could see him in life in black and white. And he was that one that told stories so vivid that you're in the story. You're in his head at that time, and it was very impactful. And I have deep condolences, deep passion for those that are in the military. I couldn't do that, and I praise you guys, because you guys are the ones that fighting for our freedom. And he was brilliant. I think he was like 80 or something. He was a really brilliant guy, and I loved it. His name is Dick Durrance, Durrance, Dick Durrance. So I'm continuing to the last speaker of the first session. This guy, he follows through with Colorado. His name is Ben Cort, C-O-R-T, and he's actually a marijuana policy expert, and talking about marijuana, weed, and the commercialization of weed, and what's that doing to low-income people, to people that smoke weed. And he was really impactful, and really I did not know about that about weed, is that now these big corporations that are taking these pop-in shops, weed shops, they're commercializing it, and what they're doing is they're putting more THC in this weed. And just to give you like what's THC to the other compounds in weed, there's CBD and then there's THC in weed. CBD is the medical components inside marijuana that helps stress and the people that have seizures and stuff like that. THC is the psychoactive compound in weed that makes you feel high. And what he said is that he's trying to stop the commercialized of weed, and he's pro weed and whatever. But it's important. It's like back in the day where we had beer coming in, cigarettes coming in, and then there was no regulations yet, so they're selling it so high of alcohol inside of it. And he's getting back to there's high levels of THC, and there's these people that spray pesticides and stuff like that. And it was really cool. It opened my eyes about weed and the dangers that it's causing to the commercialized of weed. But so that's the end of session 1. It was that blew me away. Some amazing speakers, and I want to get into the break. So we had about a 30 to 40 minute break. We went to go eat a lunch. I saw there was a bookstore, and I turned to the left, and it said speed networking. I'm like, okay, I've heard of speed dating. I've heard of you got Tinder, speed dating or whatever. And I was like, I told my girlfriend, like, I live on it for networking, so let's do this. So talked to about 20 people. We had 8 minutes to talk to people, and hearing other people's stories around my town and connecting with people that are in my industry and that want to help me because I have an idea that I want to do. And it's cool that telling a random person your story and listening to their story is so impactful, because it makes you realize that there's so much people around you that living this journey of self-development, living this journey of being more self-aware of themselves. And it was very impactful. I met some amazing people, and I got their numbers, of course, and I'm looking forward to networking and talking to these people. It was awesome. So this is going into session 2, and this is they call it the super woman round, where they had some amazing women on stage. And this is the thing, they're putting so much importance in women, because there's still this stigma in life that there's inequality still. And it's so true, is that us men have this privilege, and we don't know what we don't know, and we don't know how women are and what they go through. And this was a super woman round, and had some amazing women on there that I learned so much from. And the very first one, she was by far my favorite, because she changed my perspective on a whole other level, and about self-awareness. And her name was Tasha Urich, Eurich, and she's an organizational psychologist, and she studies the mind. She has this book out that I want to actually get. And I met her. I got my book signed that I got there. She signed it for me, and I was talking to her, and she was brilliant. She studies the mind, and she talks about self-awareness, and I actually will go into that later on about the big takeaways that I got from this event, and I'll talk about that, and it's huge. So I want to talk about the second speaker for session 2. Her name is Mara Minster, MITZER, and she's actually a city planning coordinator. She helps plan city parks, anything like that, and she has such a unique team out in Boulder, and it's actually they call it Kid Cities, and she wants to have integration of kids having their own ideas in parks, and They actually have something going up in Boulder. They've been working on it. They have kids that are making these sculptures like architects, and it's brilliant having kids come into this, adult world and get their ideas out, because they're the ones living too, and we want them and their ideas and living in a city just for them as well. And I thought that was brilliant. So I want to go into session 2, speaker 3. This is a social justice activist. Her name is Tamika D. Mallory, and she was actually interviewed on stage with one of the co-speakers, and she was very impactful and very, I could feel her passion on stage, and she's trying to have empathy for both people out there. And she was talking about how her husband was killed, her son was about 2 years old, and she had empathy still for the shooter because of the family there, but then of course her own husband. And she was very impactful with her words that she said, and I'm looking forward to getting into her story. I'm gonna follow her on Instagram and follow her story, because she's social justice activist, and she's out there with the movement. I love it. And so the next one caught me off guard. This is the next and actually the last speaker for session 2. It's actually a transgender. Caught me off guard. Came on stage and had giant hands, and she was impactful. Her name is Paula Williams, and she is this voice for transgender man and woman, and she taught me a thing or two about being yourself, about being who you are inside, and embracing that. And I thought that was amazing, and I was so impacted from her voice and her story. And it's crazy to think, going back to woman equality, is that us men don't know what we don't know. We don't know that a white male has privilege, or males in general have this privilege, and we don't see it on the other side. And he sees it on both spectrums now, and he was talking about that, and it was very impactful. And I've always had respect for women, but you guys are the heart and soul of men out there in America and or all over the world. And it was brilliant, and I loved it. So that was the end of session 2. Brilliant, amazing, impactful so far. So we went on break. So I was gonna go do speed networking again, but actually we had a few minutes. We didn't have too long on this break. So I wanted to go buy a book. So I went to the book stand, and I actually I bought the first book that caught my eye. And this is what I usually do: is I see the title, and I'm like, I need this book in my life. And you guys might not know, but I read 30 to an hour every single day, because I think self-development, and even if you learn one new thing in a book, that one new thing can blow up your perspective, blow up your business to the next level. And this book really resonated with me, because I was really looking for a book on public speaking, and TEDx event book. It's called Talk Like TED, the 9 successful tips to becoming from the top leaders in the world on public speaking. And this was amazing, so I bought it right away, because I need that book in my life. I'm weird because I love books like this, but you'll find these books in your life, and you're gonna have it, and it's very impactful. So I'm almost done here. So I want to go into session 3, the last session, and some of the most impactful people were in this, and I just want to talk about events in general. Is that I love going to events, I love networking with people, but hearing other people's story and listening to how they speak, it makes me feel so impactful about who I am, and in the story. You know, what we do, we live on stories, and telling your story in a way that can impact someone is the best thing that you can do, because people can resonate with who you are. And I want to go into the next speakers. So, so the first speaker was Patrick B. I forgot his last name, but he's a food systems analyst, and he was actually talking about how in America we're losing 40% of product, 40% of produce of all harvest when they get transferred to this state, to this state, this state. And he said a story about melons here in Denver. We grow the melons, we send them out to California to send them all out to America, and from just getting there to everyone else in the world, Denver to Colorado to everyone else in the world, we're losing 40% of that. That 40% can feed, a village in Africa. It can feed a whole state. It can feed a lot of people with 40% of produce, 40% of meat, 40% of all this stuff. And he has a system, and it was a brilliant system, and I back that, because food is that resource that we need in our lives. So he was brilliant. He was a great guy. So I want to talk about the next woman on here, and her name is Dominique Cristina, and they had some poetry stuff going on here, and there's a few poetry people, and she was actually the #1 poetry slam artist, and she's won many awards. She went on stage, she told us 2 poems, one on Martin Luther King and the about the wife and the importance of her, and just very impactful. Yeah, but I want to talk about that second poem at the end of this video, and I can tell you how impactful she was with just her way of poetry, and it's awesome. So this next guy, he's a scientist. His name is Brian Toon, Toon Toon, and he is an atmospheric scientist, and he was powerful with his speech, not in like inspirational way, inspirational in wanting me to go do something about it, but he put not fear, but a need for us as a community, us as a nation, to really fight back about nuclear war. And I'll talk about that in the end of this video, about my takeaway from that, and it was impactful. And I want to go into the last speaker. They save the best for last, and this guy was he's an Italian immigrant. He came here a long time ago, and family owned a business, had a brother or sister, and he was lost in the world, and his name is Christian Piccolini. Sorry if I butchered that. Piccialini, and he was part of the first white supremacist in America. He was part of a movement that was so crazy at the time and still is today, but he became a leader in this white supremacist group, and for years he didn't know what to do, and he had a family, and that changed his perspective, and he actually quit. And this goes into hate to peace, and I actually want to talk about him and my takeaways too, and it's so impactful, and his story about how someone that has so much hate can have peace. And it's so true in the world, is that today we have so much hate, but with that hate, there's potholes in life that if you fill them up, you could be at peace again. And it was impactful, and I want to talk about this is the ending of this, and what's my big takeaways. So let's go to the beginning. Beth Wiesenthal, the futuristic urban architect. So what she taught me was ask the question, what if? Ask the question, what if? In anything, she was talking about what if this for the city? What if this can happen to the city? And that got me to question myself about what if I could do this? What if I can do this? Because that makes me feel like, okay, well, what can I do to do that? And it was impactful. It was about asking yourself, what if about something? And she was talking in a way about what if, our future can look like this, and there's a way to do it, and through architecture, and have this super urbanized city, and especially with Denver being so growing so rapidly, and it's an amazing speech that she had. And I want to go into one of the most craziest ideas that we got from this event, and the space entrepreneurs, James Orsluck, Orsluak, and space entrepreneur. That sounds insane, right? And he's planetary resources is his niche, and his business that he's running, and his team. And what he's trying to do is have us have mining outside of the atmosphere, mining asteroids, mining stuff that's not on Earth, and having those resources come here. And he wants a planetary system out there to mine stuff coming in, so we can have resources without running out. Yeah, you might say there might be an abundance here, but there's a time that we will run out. And what other things that he wants to do is have plantations up there, meaning power plants. And just imagine all that radiation outside of the atmosphere, outside in space, instead of here on Earth. And that's where we can have more room for more of us resources here for plants and stuff like that, instead of all this chemical stuff here. And it was impactful, and I support that. And he's talking about 10 years, 15 years down the line when something like this will happen, and that's insane. So I want to go into the millennials. Danielle Schutz, a millennial leader, expert leader, and there's a stigma on millennials. They're talking about, a lot of people be like, she's talking about how a lot of people don't think of her as a millennial, and they're like, oh, you're different. Oh, you're not a millennial, because there's a stigma on millennials, how people don't want to look up to millennials because there's so much research and stuff like that saying that they think millennials don't know anything, or millennials can't be a leader. And there's these two stigmas: you're either a millennial or you're a leader. Like, you can't mix the two together. And she's talking about the stigma of how millennials are the ones that grew up on collaboration, and she was talking about how millennials can be leaders, and there's so much millennials that are leaders. And I think of myself as a leader, and I am a millennial. But the thing is that millennials can work hand in hand with Gen X and baby boomers, and have our ideas heard, because we are that next generation coming up, and there's so much of us. And the thing is that we are trying to help the world in a way. And we grew up in that beginning of social online, and that's impactful for us. And we are leaders and millennials together, and it's so impactful. And she was impactful, and I can't wait to look into her and how much she is. Miss Danielle Schutz. So I want to go into the next person that changed my perspective in the way that I'll never forget, and I'll always ask what she was talking about. And this is Tasha Eurich, Eurich, and she is a psychologist. She studies the mind and whatnot, and she's talking about self-awareness. Is that a lot of us don't know how to get that self-awareness. We might think we do, and we don't, because there's certain things that we ask ourselves that gives us false narratives and stuff like that. And it was very impactful. And what she said was that, let me just give you an example, is that let's say I'm writing an essay and I mess up. And I ask myself, why is this not working? Why is this essay not doing this? And I ask myself this, I start answering this question, that question. And what that does is it gives you this, false facts about why is this not working, and being more self-aware. And she asked, change that word to why to what. So let's go back to that essay again. Is that, let's say I'm writing an essay and I mess up. Instead of saying why can't I do this, or why can't I get this to be better? Instead of asking that, ask, what can I do better? What can I do to make this the best it can be? And that's when it changes your whole perspective in thinking different, answering these different questions that put you down in a rabbit hole, instead of asking just what can you do. And that was impactful. Asking yourself, what can you do better, instead of why can't I do this? That's changing you to different perspectives and putting you in different places. And that was impactful. That was one of the most impactful things there that I got. And I love what I got from just this whole event in general. And it was awesome. So I want to talk about Paula Williams, the transgender, and what I got from her. And her and her story was so impactful. And what she taught me the most was, living your authenticity, being authentic as much as you can to who you are, because in the end it's just you. And the biggest support she had was her family. And this is in anything in life, is if you have the love of your family, and family can be in friends and not necessarily blood ones. And she's talking about the authenticity of who you are. And this was impactful to me, because I think highly about people being genuine to themselves, and I think it was huge, and I loved it. I think that being authentic to who you are on a daily basis is what you should do. Don't try and put this fake wall up. Don't try and be someone you're not, because if you want to be something else, go do that, because that's what you want to do, instead of being stuck. And that's what happens. So that was very impactful. So that was actually part of session 2. So I want to go into session 3, and the big takeaways is the first person from that is Dominique Cristina, and the poetry slam winner of so much awards. She had this poem on praise, and that was impactful, because she was talking about not just praising all that good, but praising the bad, because within all the bad that happens, there's good to become, and you should praise everything in your life, good or bad. And that was very impactful to me, and I want to move that on to you guys. And almost down the line here, I want to talk about the scientist, the atmospheric scientist, and his name is Brian too, and he was talking about nuclear war, and how back when Reagan was president, he was part of a team of scientists that helped push the nation to stop him and build down these nuclear warheads. And now we're in this dilemma that nuclear war is still at large, and it can happen. But the thing is that there's no win or lose on both sides, because it's actually a lose for all of us, because he was just talking about, even if a few nuclear warheads went off and it was to come here or anything like that, is that it could become a nuclear ice age where people would die all around the world. He was talking numbers, 400 million or billion people would die, and race as we know it and humanity will die. And this is the thing with war, it's always been around. And I don't think we're going anywhere from it. And he changed my mind about, you know, what we can do about it. Us as people can do something about it. You know, we could protest it, but then we can go to our politicians in our state and, you know, talk about this. Like, what can nuclear war can do for us? Like, what will it do? How much people will it kill? And that's what we should do. We should take action about what this can do to people and how we can stop it, because it's been stopped before, and that's, as a nation, we can stop that. That was impactful. So I want to go into the last guy, you know, the Italian, the white nationalist, the white supremacist, and Christian Picciolini. So he's talking about how a lot of, you know, people that get into gangs are usually wanting to belong. And this is the thing, is that he didn't really have family, and he was, you know, targeted because he was alone. He didn't know who he was, and he has someone tell him there's a better life, and there's brotherhood, and there's sisterhood, and there's all this other stuff, and he got sucked in. And, you know, he was hated. He hated everything, and it's because he was targeted. And this is the thing, though. He had a kid, and it changed his perspective on hate. So he had his own record store, and he started talking to different kinds of people that were coming in, and then he said, you know, these people he hated are actually genuine and actually compassionate with, you know, people, and it changed his perspective. But then again, he was lost, and he kept on talking about, you know, being lost, what that means, and these indifferences, and these, you know, there's these different roads, and he's talking about potholes, where we have these potholes in life where we don't know who we are. And what he did is he filled in those holes by, you know, like he reached out to someone that he, you know, got in fights with back when he was young, and it filled that hole. It felt that, you know, that peace come inside. And this is talking about hate to peace. You know, in today's society that we have so much hate. The thing is that there is peace on the other side. It's about filling the holes, filling those potholes, and having compassion for one another. And I live by this, is that I love everyone. I live by love, and being compassionate with who you are and being compassionate with others is what you should do. And this was very impactful to me. And it's that, you know, if you think you have hate, if you have hate inside you, you can have peace. Peace, always peace on the other side. And it's about filling those potholes in your life before, because once you fill those potholes, you can live your life to be peaceful, be happy, and anything like that. So that's the takeaways, and that's the video of, you know, my review of TEDx Mile High 2017. And I'm just gonna say one thing: impactful, powerful, and I'm ready to take action. I've always been ready to take action, and I'm always an action-oriented person, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get my ideas out there and get my ideas done. And that's the whole thing about TEDx, is sharing your ideas, sharing and talking to people. And I love it. I love that. I love the event. I support TEDx, and I want everyone to, even if you've never even heard of TEDx, go look up TEDx. There's hundreds of videos on YouTube about these inspirational people that get on stage and talk about their ideas. And I thought that was brilliant. I think it's a brilliant idea, and I appreciate all the speakers and everyone I came in contact with there. So let's answer that question in the beginning: is what's one idea or passion that, you know, I haven't acted on, and what's held you back? And I've been holding on to this, you know, project for a while, and I haven't really acted on it. Is mentorship. I've had some mentors in my life so far, and, you know, as a side project, I'm working for mentors on, for a mentor project. But the thing is that I'm not mentoring myself. I'm not, not mentoring myself, but mentoring others. And I gotta build a business. I gotta build a business and, a service for, mentors. To be a mentor myself for others that, are in that dark. I can show you the light, and I've been in the darkness, and that's why I can, be a mentor for the people. So why haven't I done it? Why have I held back? Okay, I might have some projects that I'm doing, and it's not necessarily going to take too long. So what's holding me back? Myself. And I can't let myself hold my back anymore. I gotta just go forth, go do it, and what's the worst going to happen? I fail? I don't care. I wish to fail because it's good. It's good to fail because as soon as you fail, you can learn from it and never do it again. And so I just want to say one thing. I love this event. This is Damien Villalobos, aka Wolff. My review for the TEDx Mile High 2017. And look out. I'm going to go to more of these events. I'm trying to go to so much more things and do so much more things. And this next year is going to be the year that I explode. I have my word. I know who I am, and I want to get my word out there. So this is the end of the video. I just want to say I appreciate everyone that watches, my stuff and follows my journey because I appreciate you guys. I have compassion and I love for everyone around me, everyone that comes into my life, and not necessarily just everyone around me, but everyone around the world, because we can learn, if we can learn one thing from another person, that one thing can change your life. But God bless, stay genuine, and stay kind to everyone around you. This is Damien Villalobos, aka The Wolff, and I'm out.